Deep Dive Film School makes no claim of ownership of the film footage used in this episode. The film footage is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Also, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie, so this is your warning. Welcome to Deep Dive Film School!
Oh, this week we're going to get into that one scene from Jonathan Glazer's 2000 film, Sexy Beast.
Let's dive on in if we can! Alright everybody, I am Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Poulter.
And if you like what you see /hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us in all the spaces and places that people find good media. What are we talking about this week, my friend?
Jonathan Glazer film. Underrated. This could be a forgotten gem.
Oh, easily, yeah.
I don't know how many people talk about this. You know, Jonathan Glazer, we put Under the Skin as one of our best films of the decade in the 2010s, right?
And the dude has only made 3 movies. I would say he's probably most well known for in his not movie career as the guy who directed Chronopolis, the Radiohead music video.
That fills up.
No, it's the one where he's in the car and there's no driver and it's just a single shot and it keeps moving back and forth. He also has consistently kept doing music videos and television commercials. Okay. He loves doing that.
He's good at it.
In interviews, they're like, "Why haven't you just moved into doing movies?" And he said that really doing music videos and television commercials, which again, guys like Fincher, so many of these directors, have really cut their teeth on doing this. But for whatever reason, while those others that we just named kind of moved off, it was like that was their intro and now they just do movies. He loves it. He likes going back and being like, I can create a tiny little universe, get across one concept or tone that I want, and then I move on to something new. And
this was his first film.
This was, and it makes sense.
Just kind of English gangster film.
Well, it makes sense that he likes that because even though it is an English gangster film, it's like 500 other things, right? It is not Guy Ritchie, right? It is. No. It has. There are dream sequences. There's these weird flights of fancy. There's flashbacks that happen that are just their own tiny movies. It's so strange.
No one's cool in this movie.
No.
Like in the Guy Ritchie film where he tries to make everything look sleek and cool and talk funny and quick edits.
No, if anything, he subverts all of the British gangster tropes in ways that are... People. Yeah, and also just creates comedy where... And there still is tension, but... There's these levels of comedy that just make for something so interesting. And, obviously this is not the scene that we're doing, but can we just for a minute talk about the very opening scene of Sexy Beast? Because that almost in its own way could be its own big... Well, and it starts off with this amazing...
Ray Winstone. Tan.
I mean, bodiless. He has the tiniest Speedo covering his bits. And he's just like, it's so fucking hot.
And he's in Spain, right?
Yeah, he's in Spain and he's just baking in the sun. And there's that it's not Blur. I don't know who it is what the song is that's playing. But it's it's just this snotty British song. And he's just there in all of his oiled up glory. And he just has the little dab of water in ice to put right on his bits while he's sitting there oi, it's so fucking hot. And then this boulder...
He's an underrated actor, though.
Oh, I fucking love Winstone.
He's good. Ever since I've seen this movie, I've loved him.
My Winstone movie is...
it's pretty good.
Proposition.
Oh, yeah.
That's my go-to. But at the moment where you realize that you're watching something different is that the very next shot after just 8 or 9 close-ups of this guy's he has a body top like mine. Not really one you would love to see in a Speedo, but it works for whatever reason. It works for him.
The hair, but yeah.
But yeah, it's very he looks like a giant baby, giant sweaty sunburned baby, and. Then all of a sudden, the next shot is a POV from a boulder. It rolls around in this way where you're like, oh, I'm looking at something different. After that, I mean, the movie has a weird dream sequence with somebody in a bunny suit.
It's at a table. Yeah.
I mean, there is him and his wife drunkenly dancing together in the sky. The movie does a bunch of crazy shit in the first 40 minutes. all of this leading up to the beginning of what our main scene here is, which is the Don Logan introduction.
Yeah. Ass scene. It's really him asking him to, like, hey, I got this job. You need to come help. Let me explain what this job is.
Because he's out. He does not want to be a gangster anymore. He's living in Spain with his wife. He's happy. Yeah. But now he might be back in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, one last job, right?
Yeah. That's classic. What makes this different than that sort of classic trope?
Boy, I think the English side of it, I think a lot of times we get the American gangster film, and there's like tropes that we know from those guys, but we really don't see outside of maybe like a Kurosawa movie where we see like Japanese gangsters or something like that. You don't really see a lot of English gangster stuff too much. I mean, it's still out there, but I think it's just his deft hand as a director. It's just there's unique things like that opening scene. It's just different than everything else. And then Sir Ben Kingsley, I mean, he kind of steals the show here. Though we get a very, well, I say young, but he got famous when he was like 50, but Ian McShane as well in this scene as well. Yes. Who gets pretty down and dirty as well. Like, he's not afraid to go there, very much like Under the Skin. Yeah. Under the Skin goes places where you haven't seen most alien or sci-fi movies go.
And there's even a touch of Under the Skin that Glazer has here, where we see this illustrious bank safe that does almost have this Kubrick-esque sterile alien look to it that did remind me of some of the interior alien ship scenes from Under the Skin, where it's like it looks like 2001. You're like, what am I looking at? Yeah. Now, to get to that, I do want to say that first of all, let's introduce, before we get to sort of the story within the story within the story, very Canterbury Tales. And then what did he say? Then he told me this. No, I'm telling you this. And you're like, you're nested in like 10 layers.
You definitely do the Grand Budapest thing there.
But before we get to that, let's talk about the character of Don Logan. Yes. Because again, Ben Kingsley, probably most well known as playing Gandhi. So he played one of the great peacekeepers of all time, and now he's playing this Cockney gangster.
Unforgivable cunt.
He's tiny too, yet terrifying. He is so terrifying.
He's crass. He's hard-nosed. Will not take no for an answer, right? You know, he's just unforgivable. And he's rude. He's crude. He's forceful. He's manipulative. Like, all of these things. And it's so funny when they pick him up from the airport, it's kind of silence until he gets out of the car. And then it's like, boom, he's complaining. And then we go to silence again, and they're all awkwardly sitting in this room.
Oh, my God.
And they're trying to make this small talk. And this other guy who's his friend, who he knows, but he's a cunt too.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to take the girls out to dinner, and he offers to buy them dinner. And
first he asks why he isn't invited. Yeah. So I can come then. And like he has this like there is immediately this like sociopathic. There's this sociopathic tendency to him immediately where it's like, how was the flight, Don? And he's like, it was fine then, wasn't it? Like immediately, like everything is like he's
every worst trait you can like put into one human.
He's immediately on the defensive anytime anyone says anything.
I mean, he makes the whole room uneasy. Yeah, just by being there and making small talk.
And what's great is that before this, we've seen that both Winstone and the other character who is.
Gal is
H, and then there's H and Jackie. And there's H and Jackie, and then Gal is his wife, and the four of them together the night before are just like they're in that perfect twilight spot of their life where they're like, we're done working, man, we're retired, we're in Spain, it's great, you know? And they're dancing around, they're having a good time, and they're all laughing and stuff. And then the next time we see them, I love this, is that before we even meet Dawn, and like this would be a great 101 to do sometime and include Sexy Beast in, is movies that set up everything about a character before you meet the character. Because just the sheer terror that these four experience when they realize Dawn is coming to visit them. So Gal, Winstone's character, is convinced that there has been some fight between H and Jackie when they show up to the restaurant. He's like, "Hey man, leave it at home. Like, we're here to have a good time." And they're both like someone died. And he's like, "What's going on?" And they sit down and start talking, and then it's like, "We got a call from London. They want you to do a job." And he's like, "Well, I'll just tell him no." And like, we're with Winstone. He's like, he's a big guy. He's like, you're like, who's gonna fucking tell this guy he has to go do a job?
They're bringing Dawn in.
And then they're bringing Dawn in, and everybody, and he like starts flop sweating. And again, as an introduction to a character we haven't met yet, we're like, who the hell is this? Like, what Marcellus Wallace is this that's going to come in? And it's this little guy who is terrifying, though. Just like Kingsley brings this weight, this persona to it that's scary. It's just, you don't know what he's going to do.
He based this character off of his grandmother. How perfect is that?
I mean, now thinking about the part where he's sitting with the craziest psychopath posture in his tidy whities, watching, and he's just like, picks up his phone, watching the telly then, ain't I? And you're like, who does that? Who sits in the dark and watches the television in their tidy whities with like the world's weirdest posture? It's like, well, apparently
Dawn does.
Ben Kingsley's grandmother does.
Well, they know they want him. They know that he's living this cushy life, right? And they want him to... He wants to call him out on it. He's like, I'm retired.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. Yeah.
You're not retired.
And it turns into this back and forth, for sure.
He's walking this weird edge of polite conversation and just, like, total fucking breakdown.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Just, like... it's this weird line, and only Sir Ben Kingsley can do it like that. I don't know. He's just got this delivery, especially when he's speaking in his native tongue.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, he just nails it.
Well, and there is that, like, there's this Britishism, if I may, that is the rhetorical question as the shittiest thing you can do to another person, where when he's like, did Jackie talk to you? He's like, yeah. He's like, and she said, and what did you say to her? And he's like, well, I'm sure she told you. He's like, well, she didn't say anything, did she? Because I'm here now, aren't I? And you're like, are you supposed to answer those questions, or just like, and
he calls him out for swearing when he's swearing the whole time.
Oh my God. And he's like, I'm not swearing. Why are you swearing? Like, all of those little moments, it's this...
so good at, like, turning it on the other
It's
person.
this chess... And it gets... Past our scene, it gets way worse. I mean, it turns into why you realize that everyone's scared of him.
Sure.
I won't be... You will! No, don't. Yes! 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 Yes!
I would like to leave now, this minute, please. Get me a taxi.
Because he does turn into a psycho, and we're not really quite there yet. It's all the build up to it. But then he explains what the job is. Yes. And it does go into this nesting box of story within a story within a story.
It's the commode story from Reservoir Dogs.
It is. And it's so damn funny because the whole orgy thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just that he's at an orgy and he's like, sensual, like ancient Rome. And then you see it, and it's a bunch of people bored sitting around just listening to asses slap together.
Watching.
And they're just all watching. Like, and it's a bunch of like old schlubby gray-haired men and a bunch of young women who are just like looking at their nails. And he's like, erotic, unlike anything you've ever seen. And the guy who's describing that also, I don't know who the actor is, but he looks like a Guy Ritchie regular with those like big old porn sunglasses and just like bald, like, but everything about that whole setup with the orgy thing is, I forgot all about that watching this again. I did. And I was like, that is the funniest.
Ian McShane taking it up the ass is tattooed in my brain. So
with his hair flipping. Well, once I saw that, I was like, that's why I remember that scene. But I had no context for it before that.
He works for the Imperial Emballage or whatever.
He's like, men or women. And he goes, yes. And then it cuts to the scene of him taking it up the ass.
Unnecessarily, like, right? There's no reason for it other than you're just laying it on so thick. Just spread it on that piece of bread.
But again, to be like, this movie could go anywhere. I have no idea what I'm seeing here. I mean, when our title card for Sexy Beast pops up, it's in bright, bold, hot pink as Ray Winstone is stepping over the camera, so it's just his taint. So it's like it's his Speedo taint, Sexy Beast. So like the movie, you don't know. You have no idea what might happen in this movie. It's insane. I love that whole sequence though. The nesting story is so damn funny.
Yeah, and you know he's trying to reason with him in the scene. And this is actually probably his most reasonable point of the movie, Dawn. I mean, because like you said, it does get way worse, and he gets way more. You know, he's just like childishly violent, and
it's insane. Like he does become. He's like a feral dog.
Yeah.
Fucking plane was fine. Fucking plane was all right. Fucking plane was perfect. It's you. You're the problem. You're the fucking problem. You fucking Dr. White, onking jam rag, arcing spunk bubble. I'm telling you, H. You keep looking at me, I'm gonna put you in the fucking ground. I promise you.
But again, just like the build up to that very awkward
the Teddy story with Ian McShane and all of this, and how they know this person and how they're going to break into this whole thing, and it's one last job kind of thing. No way, you know. What does he say? He says. He talks about it's not about the money for us, right? You know, we just love the thrill of it.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do any of this. Yeah,
he's just forcing him, and just Ben Kingsley's got to be a generational great time actor, right? Like,
did you see? Bit of a tangent. Did you see? I mean, I want to say it was probably 10 years ago that they did. I don't know who put it together, but it's like a little homage to Minor Threat. Of like, it's a Minor Threat song and it's like a live looking CBGB style video, but Ben Kingsley,
I could see him pulling that cover off.
He plays Ian MacKaye.
No way.
And does like We're Just a Minor Threat song, dressed exactly like him.
He looks like him. I could see it.
Yeah, but I mean, it was only in the last 10 years that he did that, and I was like,
no way.
And that man's a knight.
Yeah.
You know, but he's
because
like, yeah,
of
sure.
his acting, though.
Yeah, because the guy can do. I mean, you know, you think about some of the more subtle, quiet things he's done, like something in Sneakers, right? Where it's just like he's amazing, but you're like, yeah, he just kind of shows up.
Still plays that edgy guy, though.
Yeah, he just shows up for the good of the part, though. You know, I mean, I love him.
Underrated movie.
I love him in Iron Man 3. I think he's hilarious.
I agree. So good.
I haven't seen it yet, but I know that the Legend of the 10 Rings.
Oh yeah.
He comes back for something in that, right?
He is in that movie. There's no reason he's in that movie.
Oh, okay.
Other than just pure comedic, like
because I saw that he was in it, and I was like, "Oh, did he show back up as that stupid version of the Mandarin?"
No,
he's something different.
He's like this clown actor that his dad hires. He's basically a jester.
Oh, okay.
In the movie, but
that's okay.
Yeah, but
I'm still into that.
Truly, if you watch that movie, there's no reason he should be in it.
Other than they were like, hey, let's bring Ben Kingsley back for this part.
Maybe I'm wrong, but please prove me wrong.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but like at the same time, that's kind of fun and charming.
Totally.
Right? You're just like, he's there for comedic effect. You get it.
That ends up being what his role in Iron Man 3 is. He's just there for comedic effect at the end of it. He's just like this drunk. I mean, he's like a drunk schlubby version of his Sexy Beast character, just kind of this like, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta get like.
Yeah, this is the actor version of it.
Yeah, but just
not as much swearing.
Incredible role. It's, again, for a character to be so volatile and terrifying,
and he just tries to will it into existence, right? He's like, he keeps pressuring Dawn.
Yeah,
or I'm sorry, he keeps pressuring.
Gal.
Yeah. And he's just trying to will it into existence with his brutalness. Mm-hmm. Just keep forcing and shoving it down his throat.
He's willing to fly there just to be like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Yeah. For like days. And you're like, is this going to work?
I think the thing we learned from this scene, though, is the story inside of the story and the exposition there. I think that's so fun. That's always a fun way if you can pull it off. And like you said, he's like, you know, they repeat the line and the line, and that's
and it's
totally
like,
what we're going
yeah, when
here.
one person's like, erotic, and he's like, completely erotic, and then he's like, erotic, and you're like, ew. Each time you get further into the story, it's more ridiculous. Again, Glazer is such an interesting director.
Very
like,
interesting.
and like I said,
Movie?
So his middle movie was Birth. The Nicole Kidman film.
It's a Nicole Kidman movie. I don't think I've seen that one.
Really, it's good, but it's unsettling for other reasons. Basically, it's about a woman whose husband dies unexpectedly, and then she's convinced that he has been reincarnated in like a prepubescent boy. It's really, I mean,
Sure.
you can imagine
Sure.
how uncomfortable it gets.
But it's not, I know a bloke who knows a bloke.
No, it's not quite. But again,
It's
like,
three very different movies,
yeah,
though.
they're very different. Each one has a completely different style and taste.
Good
but
for him.
Completely, yeah. And the fact that he still is experimenting with music videos and commercials, I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But I think if anybody has heard about Sexy Beast, knew that it was by the guy who did Under the Skin, but thought, oh, is it just like a gangster flick? Check it out, because it does.
It's more than that.
It's so much more than that. It goes to so many strange, interesting places.
This was a great opportunity to just talk about a movie that is it's pretty underrated and probably not super well known.
No, it's not. I don't think it's very well known. And it's, I mean, again, Ben Kingsley, just watch it just for his portrayal as Don Logan is a fascinating, like, I would love an origin story of who Don Logan is.
Yes.
You could make a TV series of like a young Don Logan.
My God.
I don't know, who would you get? Who would you get that would play the young Don Logan?
Tom Hardy?
No, it's got to be smaller. It's got to be smaller than that. He's a little guy. Who is the guy? Who's the guy who played the?
Tom Hardy's just strong.
No, but who's the Russian kid with alopecia from Barry?
Yeah,
Get him.
Yeah,
he should be in an origin story TV series.
Daniel Bruhl, that would be a good one.
Oh yeah. He could do it.
That.
But yeah, I want like an origin story TV series about Don Logan. That would be amazing.
Have any idea what the main reference is?
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
It wouldn't matter.
You'd be like, that movie drops more C words than anything you've ever seen in your life. Anyway, yeah.
Great movie, great scene, and a film that doesn't get talked about enough, so I'm glad we had an opportunity to get into it. But,
definitely.
Please check it out and like and subscribe if you're into what we're doing. We have all these That One scenes. We got a bunch of playlists on YouTube. Go anywhere you listen to
all kinds of stuff.
Podcasts, all sorts of stuff. So please like and subscribe. And we'll see you next week. We're going to get into, what are we doing? We're continuing
Fantastic
our
Mr. Fox.
We're continuing our Stop Motion Festival with Fantastic Mr. Fox. So please join us.
Bye, you guys.
See you.